yes, that was what I placed down. So then I got there. Miss Adam taught me about those stuff, and then I also got interacted with the kids, teaching them how to read the alphabet pronunciation of the sounds, that's the rhymes, and then because so early in the morning like this, we will do a jigsaw puzzle or something to just create that atmosphere. Yeah. So then that was mostly what we did. And then after the job shadowing, that was Miss Edem also told me anytime I would feel to have an internship at the place, I should just call it. So then her husband didn't just give me the opportunity to have an internship, but then they also gave me the opportunity to meet new people. And then there I met a man, Mr. Trump. He also teaches kids robotic stuff, and yeah, so I learned a lot from him, got his contact, and then we've been interacting. He's also been helping me. So then Ahaspora is a network. Once you are in and then you are really serious about what you want to do, you will get far. Little did I know I would be here right now speaking to you people. I didn't even have the mindset of getting people to talk to at this age, but then because of Ahaspora, it's been made possible. So then Ahaspora is not only a family, it's also a network of people. You get to meet new people and then interact with new people. I will just advise you guys that everything which you'll be asked to do, everything which you'll be taught, you just take it seriously and then pray also that this family that you are joining wouldn't be a waste. Yeah, thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Steve. Thank you. Please let's clap for Steve. Even if you're muted, wave to Steve. Thank you for sharing your experience. That was very insightful.
Insightful.
Yes. I'll take one question, just one question. First person to raise up your hand. No questions? Okay, Reynolds.
But there's a hand up. Hold
Yes,
on,
I
I
saw
think.
Reynolds. Reynolds, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I wanted to ask him how life has been for him after the program.
Come again.
Okay,
I wanted to ask him how life has been for him after the program. Like,
Okay.
okay, thank you for the question. Okay, after the program, I thought things were not going to be the way that things have been, at least with my career and then the next level of my education. I really didn't know what to choose. So then I spoke to Mr. Francis, and then he actually brought me to a realization of my interest. Being a science student, everyone would think of reading medicine and then pharmacy, but then I also had other interests. And then he told me that sometimes you might do what the world sees as the best, but then without your passion and then your interest in it, it might not be what you really want. Yes. So then my life after Ahaspora has been the best, at least if for nothing, I've been able to make some right decisions and then yeah, know the next line or the next level of my life where I want to be to. And then I know by God's grace I'm on track, and then it's been by God's grace and then Ahaspora too. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Isaac, you had a question?
Good evening, Steve. My question is, how
Good evening.
experience? Well,
Please, I can't get you.
You're breaking, Isaac.
that's it.
Can you
How's
type
the
your question?
experience like as a mentee?
Type your question.
Okay.
Whilst Isaac is trying to type his question, if you just joined us, we just had Steve, who joined last year the Ahaspora Mentoring program, and he was sharing his experience with us, and it was very insightful, very positive. He enjoyed it. He even won a competition and then got to do an internship with a stationery company, and he really loved it. So Isaac's question is, how was your first experience as a mentee?
Okay, Isaac. Okay, initially, my first experience. Wow. Okay. I'm very quiet and then very shy. Yeah. And so there are some things, even with my parents, I couldn't really speak to them about. But then with Mr. Francis Day, it was without as in much effort, very, very easy. And then I could communicate with him. So that when we went for the program, they made we see the family in them, yeah, the human in them. So then it was very easy communicating with him particular. And then even Miss Felicia, sometimes I hit and then we just talk. Yes. So my first experience, I would say it was exciting and then very educative too. I wouldn't leave that out. Everything that I've learned from them has been very helpful to me. Yeah.
Great, great, great. Thanks, Steve. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Pravi, can I
Yes,
say something? Okay, so
sure.
there was a question Reynolds asked, and I feel like I'll touch on it slightly before we move on. So, Reynolds, you're like, what was his experience after the mentoring program? Yes. Even though we say officially that the mentoring is for 1 year, based on the kind of relationship you build on your with your mentor, usually the relationship becomes a lifelong relationship.
Mm,
A Ahaspora at the end will not come in to tell you that stop talking to Profi, you're done. He's no longer your mentor. Never. We've never done that before. So based on the relationship you build with your mentor, it becomes a lifelong relationship. It's something that it stays with you forever. And we've had experiences where mentees even become part of mentors' families because they meet with both families. The mentor goes to visit the mentee's family, the mentee comes home to visit the mentor's family. So it even extends the relationship from the mentor mentee relationship to a family relationship. So there's never an end to it. So don't think you just have a year, but look into the future. Just look at all the possibilities that you can derive from this program and just go for it. So, Reno, that's the little I had to add on to Steve's.
Thank you.
thank you, Felicia. That's a very important point. All right. So thank you all for listening, and I wish you all the best. If you have any issues, any problem, if you need anything, just you can talk to any of the admins on the group. So that's me or Felicia who just talked, or Patrick who will appear at some points during the day. So don't hesitate to come to us if you need anything. If you're unable to reach your mentor, if you have any issues, don't hesitate. We're here for you. We're here to help you and make this process very smooth. So I'll hand over to Ato, our moderator for the day, so that we can kick with what we had planned. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Fishapai again. Thank you, Providence. Yeah, so I think we are going to go into say it as it is session where we want to hear some really honest things around how it goes with the mentorship program. But I'd like to welcome you all to this. My name is Atul Napia. I have been part of Ahaspora since, I don't know, I've been a member of the network, since I think 2011, late 2011. And yeah, it's been great to be a part of this. And I also, when the mentorship program was started, my organization Ghana, I think through our Junior Camp Ghana program, partnered to do the first one, I think in 2013, the Changing Mindsets program, and it's been going on since then, which is really awesome. And I have some mentees as well. I think I have about 6 mentees. I haven't taken any new mentees for about 2-3 years because I want to continue working with the ones that you know, are mentoring. So it's been a great journey, you know, helping the mentees, seeing them grow, starting to do really, really awesome things, and also even trying to share what they've been learning with others, which I think is very important. You know, I think it's very important that as you learn from your mentees, you share it with your colleagues and your mates who might not have mentors. You know, because we need good information to spread so that, you know, as many of our young people in Ghana can get great advice and do the best things at this age. You know, we want you to start leading now. We want you to start being awesome now, because if you are awesome now, Ghana will be much, much better. Yeah, so it's great to have you all join, and welcome to this. And we're going to go ahead with the Say It As It Is session soon. Yeah, so I think we've talked about the house rules already. So thank you for everyone who, you know, went to edit their names. Deborah, I think you still need to edit your name. So please just go to the participants, edit your name, add your last name. So just click add your last name so we can know exactly who you are.
Hi.
Great. So I think we have Elizabeth here. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi. Sorry for joining late.
Hello, Deborah. We want you to join with your full name. Could you try and fix that for us? So if you go to participants, let me go through this with you. If you go to participants and then click more on your name, you can rename your name and add your full name. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, Atu.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Great. Yeah, so if you could tell us a bit about yourself and how yesterday's event went.
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming back today. My name is Elizabeth Aishen, and I am a member of the Ahaspora Mentoring Committee. It's always a pleasure to arrange the program for you all. Personally, I am a UK and Ghanaian qualified lawyer, and it's just a pleasure to be able to be in Ghana and be part of this wonderful program. So in terms of the overview, of course, all of you were there yesterday, and I'm sure you all had a great time. But as a recap, we had a wonderful ice-breaking session yesterday. I hope you all enjoyed that. So we played a quiz and also charades. And we also had our speaker, which is Eko Esserman, who is the counsel to the president. And he gave an insightful and informative account of his journey to become a lawyer. And he talked about the difficulties and struggles that he had to overcome in order to persevere and accomplish what he's accomplished today. He also talked about others as well in terms of their journeys. And I think the takeaways we obtained from that was that hard work and persistence is necessary. You know, it's important to persevere, and there will always be difficulties and delays and, you know, discouragement, perhaps criticisms from others, but it's important to be focused, to plan, to be strategic, and just keep focused in terms of your goals that you want to achieve. We also had a fantastic session looking at vision boards. And vision boards are a visual representation of goals that you may want to achieve. And it's always said that when you sometimes put things on paper or in terms of diagrams or pictures, visual representations will allow you to kind of actively see what you want to achieve. So it's a very good session. We're also going to do part 2 of that session today. I hope you all were able to think about some of the goals that you want to achieve. Sometimes it's good to do short-term goals You know, you're all very young, you still have many years ahead of you. So short-term, realistic goals, timed goals are what we will all help you in terms of the mentors and the program, you know, to help you with your short-term goals and how to achieve them, and also how to encounter and deal with issues and difficulties that may come your way. So that was generally an overview of what we did yesterday, and I hope you will all look forward to and enjoy the session that we have for you this evening. So I hand back to you, Atu.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, everyone, again. Yeah, the ladies session. Did you guys call the Ghana Fire Service? And did they respond? Did they come early? I hear sometimes when you call them, they come early. Sometimes they drag their feet. I hope your experience was good, so that you can recommend them to other people.
It was.
A lot of the times, people are, you know, saying bad things about all the services, so no one wants to use them. But when they are good stories, you need to recommend them to others. Yeah, great. Okay, so welcome back. Hello, Apiorkor.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Actually, Teote.
Where's your man? Hey, Nibohu.
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. All I know is Teote. And me, Ochubai. Yeah. Okay, great. Apiorkor, can we see you?
Can you see me now?
Let me see. Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Good stuff.
Good.
Good stuff. Okay, so welcome everyone to this session. We are going to learn a lot about Apiorkor and from Apiorkor, and then we would fill some questions later. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Apiorkor briefly. I have a very long profile of hers that I'm going to summarize very soon. Yeah, so basically, I think I started hearing about Apiorkor in the creative space. I think the first memory I know of Apiorkor is like as a spoken word artist or poet, you know, that kind of thing. And then later on, I got to know that she was into music. And then later on, I saw that she was involved with the Omni Media, Citi FM, Citi TV, etc. So yeah, and my organization, Ghana, I think we organized bar camps, and we invited her for one of the bar camps, I think in 2018. So I got to, and yes, we've also, I know Ahaspora and a number of people have also been to Citi TV to be on the Breakfast Daily show that you produce. So, you know, we've also engaged you that way. So I know you're a woman of many, many parts, and I'll read a few things to add to that, and then we would hear from you. So Apiorkor Seiram Ashong Agbe is an award-winning Ghanaian American poet. Hey, okay, I didn't know that you use Ghanaian American. Okay, Ghanaian American poet, writer, literary critic, media practitioner, and a versatile creative. I think versatile is very important. I think one of the most important things any teenager in Ghana needs to be is to be versatile. So that would probably be my biggest advice for all the mentees here. Make sure that you are versatile. So Apiorkor has a West African Baobab Award, which was awarded as the Literary and Community Building Award, presented to her in Lagos, Nigeria in 2016. When she's not creating literary orgasms. Okay, we're old enough to hear that, right? Okay, Apiorkor is most likely designing content, producing or hosting award-winning shows on Accra-based Citi 97.3 FM and Citi TV. As a seasoned media practitioner, she's also a copywriter. Apiorkor, I think it would be great if you tell us more about copywriting later. She's also a copywriter, a voiceover artist, an events MC and moderator, and an advertising concept designer. She also does a lot of editing and proofreading documents. She is known for her use of new media forms in disseminating her poetry and for the purposes of activism and social commentary. Sorry, I'm reading, so forgive. Yeah, so also she might be whipping up hors d'oeuvres for Ghanaian socialites. She likes to cook and make tasty meals for her adorable son and daughter, or romantic dinners for her husband, Frederick. Apiorkor, Akwaba.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, this is the thing about virtual audiences. When you say good evening or good morning or good afternoon, you can't always hear people responding. But I know
we have 93 participants. Let's respond to Apiorkor.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And how are we all doing? Are we enjoying the holiday?
Yeah, fine.
Yes,
Christmas is dry.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm always honored. I mean, I get a chance to speak to and in front of several different kinds of people. A lot of them are older people, so that's people who are older than me or older than many of you who are in this meeting at the moment. But a lot of the time, these people are young, and I know that I'm speaking primarily to young people this evening, and that makes me excited because I find that I'm more fulfilled and I'm happiest when I'm speaking to young people. One thing Atu didn't say is that before I went into media, I was teaching full time. And my students were typically between the ages of 12 and 19.
Oh, great.
And
where
even
were
now,
you teaching?
I was teaching at some international school. Yeah, so I was teaching literature and also English language, and a course called the Theory of Knowledge in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. So I love being around young people. It's my calling. I'm also a Christian woman. For those of you who go to church, in the church that I attend, I spend lots of time with young people because for some reason, young people gravitate towards me. Maybe it's because my hair is always funky, or I always try to, vibe with them. But for some reason, I get along with young people. And so I'm very honored to be speaking to all of you. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about perseverance. Can anybody tell me what perseverance means to them? It doesn't have to be a dictionary definition, it doesn't have to be perfect. But when you hear the word perseverance, what does it mean to you? Anybody?
Hello.
Hi, I can hear you.
I think perseverance is a persistence in doing something despite the delay or difficulties in it.
Okay, the persistence in doing something despite the delay or difficulty in doing it. And that's pretty, spot on. But does it mean anything else to anybody else? Perseverance? Does anyone else have anything else to say?
Hello.
Hi.
Perseverance is doing something in times of persisting for something in times of challenges, problems, and uncertainties.
Okay, challenges, problems, uncertainties. Okay, so we've heard the word difficulty, we've heard the word challenges, we've heard problems as well, and that's true. When you talk about perseverance, you're talking about a situation or a group of situations that somebody has to go through, and those situations can be very difficult to the point where you feel depressed sometimes, to the point where there are times when you feel as though there's no way out of what you're experiencing. Also to the point where sometimes you don't know who to talk to because you feel as though you're the only one suffering and no one will understand you. And sometimes too, you're persevering through a situation that makes you ashamed to talk to other people about what you're dealing with. And I'm sure that many of you who've had those situations. But let's even talk about the year 2020. What's the most common thing happening in 2020? Anybody? When you look back at 2020, what's the thing that everybody will remember?
COVID-19.
COVID-19. And it's been difficult for adults. And I was telling a group of my friends just last week that, I get worried about young people, like many of you, because the adults are having their say. We get to talk to each other. We get to share experiences about what we are going through, but nobody is really talking to young people about how the pandemic is affecting them. I know it's been difficult for many of you to be at home, for example, and not be in school. Am I lying? Is it true? Difficult to be at home? Yes, because you're not around your friends. There may be activities, if it's sports or co-curricular activities that you're involved in, all of a sudden you can't do those things. And then because your parents want to be very protective of you, we can go out as adults. Many of us are back at work. Some of us have been working throughout the pandemic. I'll tell you about that a little later. I'll share my experience with the pandemic with you. But adults are generally getting back to normal or trying to deal with what we are calling the new normal. But young people have been left for adults to make the decisions for them. And so I can imagine how you've had to persevere through the time. Now, there are several instances. Yes, we've spoken about the pandemic, that's one, but there are several instances or contexts within which you can be dealing with perseverance, or where you have to persevere. One of them is very basic, at school. When you're in school, the thing your parents and your teachers expect from you is to do what? To pass, to do well, to excel, to get A's, maybe B's, maybe some C's, but nobody wants D's and E's and F's. But it's not easy. And a lot of the time, adults, we forget that we're also in a situation where we struggled with our schoolwork and we put so much pressure on you. Your parents will tell you, we spend so much money, we've invested in your education, don't fail, don't disgrace the family, don't disgrace me, and then your teachers, because you are a reflection, a student is good or bad because of their teacher. Some teachers may not admit it, but it is the truth. Yes, there are some students who may not apply themselves, but again, I mentioned that I come from a teaching background and I have several different kinds of students. I remember I had one student once. She was writing, her handwriting was so bad. If she did an assignment, you couldn't read it. And so all the other teachers said, oh, she's lazy, she doesn't take her time. We tried everything. We bought her, you remember my first copybook? You all remember that. Bought her my first copybook, got her to trace, took her through all sorts of exercises that we found on the internet. Then I realized, no, this girl, there's something deeper. So I advised that we get her to speak to a psychologist. And we realized that she has something called agraphia. So you know how when you talk about dyslexia, it has to do with people having problems with reading, right? Have you all heard of dyslexia? So you may see a word and you read it the wrong way through no fault of your own because the letters are moving about on the page, or you're writing and in your mind, you're writing top, but instead of spelling it T-O-P, you spell it T-P-O. In this case, the person thinks she's writing beautifully, but what she's writing, no one can read it. And it's actually a real condition. So what did we have to do? We had to set her up, even for examinations, in a separate room with computers because she can type, type very well, type very fast. And that's how we were able to get her to move to the next level. Now, unfortunately, as adults, when there are issues with our children or with young people like you, especially when it comes to the school setting, we tend to blame the student. And that's an instance where I'm sure many of you have had to persevere. Or it may be a subject that you're struggling with. Maybe mathematics is difficult for you, or you're learning French. French is not a language you grew up speaking. You grew up speaking English or Twi or Ga or Ever or Dagbani or whatever it may be. And all of a sudden they say, learn a new language because it will take you far, and it's part of the curriculum, and you're struggling with it, and your teachers and your parents don't understand why you're not doing well, forgetting that it's a new language that you're being introduced to. So that's another essence where you may have to persevere. Let's talk about home. A lot of us have had issues with our parents. We quarrel with them. Sometimes they tell us to do things we don't agree. Sometimes we feel like they don't understand us. Am I right? Tell me if I'm right. Do we struggle with our parents sometimes?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I remember when I was growing up, I had those situations too. My mom is a very strong character, and so am I. So we used to clash a lot, especially during my teen years. And it was often because we would have, growing up, my parents would have all, kinds of people come and spend time with us because they were very open and loving people. They still are. This is a situation where we'll get home from school, from boarding school, and somebody is sleeping in your bed because the person didn't have a place to sleep. And it taught us a lot anyway about how to accommodate people, how to give, how to be loving and caring. But then sometimes these people were family members, distant aunties, distant uncles, and they would come in and they felt we should dress a certain way, we should eat a certain way, we should act a certain way. And sometimes my parents, and particularly my mom, would agree. Not that she agreed with them, but she didn't like the fact that they were saying those things. I'll give you a typical example. I love beads, I love jewelry. And see how my hair is crazy? This is not just me as an adult, it's been me. I'm very artistic. Atu mentioned that the first time he met me in the arts community. And I started writing poetry when I was very young and became started actively calling myself a poet when I was 14. So this is about JHS 2, thereabout. And so I had the opportunity, luckily, to go to many events. And that time there weren't many poetry events at all, but I'll go to events, all sorts of arts events, and I loved beads. And so I took a liking to anklets. And if you know anything about Ghana and anklets, they say girls who wear anklets are bad girls. And so initially my parents didn't have an issue with it because they also like jewelry. They thankfully appreciated my artistic side. But for some reason, there was this one particular auntie who came to spend time with us, and she didn't understand why my mom should allow me, as she puts it, to wear anklets because she said it's devilish. And my mom and I back and forth. It sounds very trivial now, but at the time I felt like she was,
Is it devilish from the Bible or devilish from tradition?
Well, as for that conversation, we can have it another day. But it was devilish, quote unquote, they said. And my mom and I had so many quarrels about it, And looking back, I can understand why she acted the way she did, but it was a very difficult situation to persevere through. Very, very difficult situation to persevere through. And then we can talk about other things. Young people, I'm sure there are times when you've been ill. Anybody here who's been ill, maybe you had malaria or you had a very bad cold or flu or some ailments that you had to fight, your body had to fight, not just physically, but even emotionally and spiritually, you're fighting it. Anybody have that experience? I'm sure. And then
menstrual pains,
yes.
Diarrhea.
And you have to persevere through it. It's not every time that even your parents may understand that, you're being lazy, come to the kitchen and cook, or come and help me wash the car or do some chores, and you're saying that you're not feeling well. It's not that serious. It's not that bad. And you have to persevere through situations like that. And believe me, it doesn't get any better. Again, I'll give you an example of myself. You mentioned menstrual pains. When I was in high school, I started menstruating very early. By 10, I had started menstruating. And a lot of my peers, my mates hadn't. So again, there's this thing of not being able to talk to anyone in my immediate circle. Of course, my mom was there. I have an older sister who's 10 years older than me. But amongst my peers, a lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. So it's time for PE and we have to change. and nobody understands why I want to go and change in the bathroom, you know? And then when I got to high school, my cramps were so bad that of course, you menstruate once a week in a month, right? So once every month, I'll end up in the infirmary and they'll have to give me injectable painkillers because if I took paracetamol or any painkiller orally through my mouth, I'll vomit. But sometimes your cramps or whatever you're going through, it's happening when there's a big exam or some big events. Like I was part of MUN, Model United Nations. I have to go and give a speech. And this thing comes when that time is up. And then I'll tell myself, no, you need to push. You go for the painkiller and push through. And even now, working as a grown-up, it happens, you know? And so through illness and things like that, those are times when we have to persevere as well. And then sometimes you have to persevere, again, as a young person. I don't know what all of your backgrounds are like, but there are times when you really, not that you want something, so it's not that you want new shoes or you want new clothes or you want a new book. You actually need it because maybe your shoes don't fit anymore or your school uniform has become too small, or there's a book that you feel if you get, it will really help you understand what your teacher for whatever subject it is has been teaching. And then your parents tell you they don't have enough money to buy it. Sometimes it's even your school fees. Your parents will tell you, look, I'm trying my best, but the money is not coming. I can't pay your school fees. I don't know if there's anyone like that here or anyone who has experienced that. But then you have to persevere and tell yourself that, okay, my shoes may be too tight. My friends may laugh at me because maybe my school uniform is now looking like a bodycon dress, you know, or Piotr show. I don't know if you know what Piotr show is, you know, for the boys. Your shorts have become so short because you've grown so tall. And people will laugh at you, maybe because your shoes to them are not nice enough or your school bag has a hole somewhere. But you persevere through it because you know that your parents are trying their best. And at the end of the day, if you do well in school, you can also come out a better person and give something back to your society. And maybe even find yourself in a better financial position than your parents are in or have been in. There are all those situations. But then there's also society. Even adults struggle to deal with society. Society expects you to be a certain way. I just gave you the example of wearing anklets and beads around my ankle. Even now, again, as an adult, people expect that you should dress a certain way. I'm married, I have kids. People expect that I should look a certain way, you know? People expect that you should speak a certain way. You should eat a certain way. So many expectations. But you see, the point for perseverance in this situation or when it comes to society is that if you don't know who you are and you don't start developing a love for yourself at the age you are, you are so lucky, young people. If you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, you have a chance to develop a deep love for yourself. So by the time you get to your 20s, your late 20s, your early 30s, nobody can tell you who they expect you to be. And you need to persevere in doing that because people will tell you that you're not good enough, that the subject you like in school is not important enough, that the profession you want to pursue as an adult, it's not good enough. It will not bring you money. It will not bring prestige. People will tell you that you're not beautiful enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not slim enough. You're not thick enough or big enough. You're not fair enough. You're not dark enough. There's always something that somebody in society expects you to be that you are not. Not because it's your fault, but because that's not how you are made. That's not how you're wired. And you need to learn how to persevere to overcome those challenges. That this time the challenges are coming from other people, the external factors. You overcome those challenges, those things that people are putting in your way that are preventing you from accepting yourself as you are. Okay, and I will talk to you a little bit about how you can overcome some of these things and persevere. The very first thing I'll say is that you need to garner as much experience. And I'm very happy that Atu spoke about versatility, because it's on my list here. You need to be versatile. You see, when you are versatile, right, it means that you can do so many different things. And when you can do so many different things, some of those things you can convert to money when there's none, because you can do, so for example, if you learn how to sew, maybe you don't want to be a fashion designer, or you don't want to be a seamstress or a tailor for the rest of your life. That's not your big dream for a career. But if you have that skill, at a point when you may need money, instead of going to steal the money, right, which is very wrong, of course, you know, or I'll be very open with you, especially for the girls, go and sleep with somebody to give you money, to buy credits, to buy a phone, to buy a dress, because it's happening. These are things that are happening. And I'm sure many of you young people, you know people who are going through these things. Now, if you have a skill that can earn you money, it's more difficult to get the money because it's not instant. But it's something that if you persevere through, it gives you even greater strength for perseverance in the bigger picture. So there are two things here. You're persevering through the skill that you have and using it to make something. So it could be sewing, it could be hairstyling, it could be barbering or cutting your friend's hair, it could be writing or editing things for people, it could be dancing as a way of just, you know, exploring something new. Especially our traditional dances, they are very, very, very technical. And if you can learn how to dance a traditional dance, then trust me, you've learned perseverance. You know, so there's that. But then there's also learning these things to persevere in a world where something negative might be happening to you. Like I mentioned, maybe you need money for something, or maybe for some reason you've been bored, and the pandemic is a typical example. Yes, you may have online classes for some of you, others may not. But there are times when you are bored because you want to go out, you crave interaction, you crave activity. So if you learn a new skill, maybe for those of you who like to cook like me or want to learn how to cook, you go online, you find a new recipe, you try it, you tell your parents, oh, can you buy this from me? Maybe you found a recipe using kontomire or cassava or coconut, and it's different. You want to try it. It's from another country, another culture. You can explore, and it helps you persevere. You know how they say the devil finds work for idle hands? Is very true. So you keep yourself busy. Another thing, as you progress, I know some of you are in your late teens, internships, attachments, very, very important way to become versatile. And you're very blessed, those of you who are here today, because you have access to Ahaspora. It's a huge network. And many people adults, so I'm not even talking about young people, people who are grown, they long for networks like the one you have access to at the moment. Tell one of your mentors or somebody who you admire or you've come across that, hey, you know what, I want an internship, I want to work. It may not be a job that brings money, but it may give you a new skill, and that helps to make you versatile. I got my very first internship when I was 16. And what had happened was that it was vacation, and I that time we didn't have access to networks like these, and the internet wasn't what it is now. But one of my dad's friends had come to visit. And at the time, he was running one of the biggest banks in the country, or one of the most prestigious banks in the country. And I told him that I didn't see myself becoming a banker, but I wanted to say I had the experience of working in banking. And he was so amazed that a 16-year-old was telling him this. So he gave me an internship in his bank. It wasn't even at the head office. It was at the harbor, so Tama Harbor. And we'd go there, go and work. And I learned so many things, how to call money in the vault. Even for nothing at all, I just began to understand how the banking system works. And much later in life, I had another opportunity to work at a bank. And because of that internship, there are things that I could do that people who had been working in the bank for 10 years didn't know how to do. And so when I said I was moving on, my direct boss said she didn't care where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. She wanted me to continue working in the bank. That's the kind of versatility I'm talking about. The other times when being in the US, for example, I've worked in clothing stores or retail stores. I learned how to fold clothes I mean, if you know anything about working in a retail store, especially when there are clothes, you have to fold to perfection. And you go shopping sometimes, or you see people go shopping, whether it's on TV, in a movie, and you see how people pick things from the shelf. They open it, look at it, then throw it back. And you are constantly following these people, folding. I tell you, perseverance. So, but then there's also the skill of learning how to fold, and fold things very well. So when I particularly went to, the university, and I had to do a lot of folding, and now for the first time, you're really on your own and you have to maintain your own space. My friends would come and say, but how come every time your wardrobe looks nice? And I'll say, well, because I've worked in a retail store before where you're constantly folding things, so new experiences, internships, volunteering. Atu is the one who introduced me. He spoke about bar camp. Volunteer, do something. Go out into a community that you've never been to before. Learn about new people who are different from you, people who are less fortunate than you are, and then also people who have more than you do, so that you have a well-rounded understanding of the world, and then you are very easy, you are more able to persevere through things. I see somebody who says, let me just address it quickly. It's not as easy to get an internship when parents are as paranoid as yours. I know what you mean. I had a student once who wanted to do an internship, and she was very artistic. And because I was teaching literature, she wanted to do an internship in an art gallery or something of the sort. And I don't know how many of you know about the Nubuke Foundation. So she said she wanted to do an internship at the Nubuke Foundation. And her parents said if she hangs around with artists, she'll just spoil. And they don't see why they should allow her to go and do an internship. So it can be difficult, to go out and do an internship if you have parents who are very paranoid. And very shortly, I'll tell you how you can work around that, at least for the older teens, how you can work around things like that. But just to address that directly now before I move on, if you have parents who are paranoid, then ask them if you can work with them. Follow them to work. If your mom has a shop at Makola, tell her I want to come and sell. If some of your parents may have jobs that may not allow you, for example, if your father or your mother is a doctor, of course you can't go and enter the consulting room with them because that space will not allow you to. But ask them if you can come and work in the administrative part of the hospital, for example. If your father is a mason or a block maker, go and make some of the blocks. Okay. What if your parents work home from now? Try to understand what they are doing. And that's an even greater way to tap into what they have or what your parents' skills are. Like I said, I don't know what your parents do. It may not work in every situation. But then also have a conversation with your parents. Sometimes parents think that young people cannot persevere. And it's not even just a thing with parents, but adults in general. We project our own insecurities and our own shortcomings on young people. So we tell ourselves, oh, there's no way that a young person will be able to deal with this, or there's no way that a young person will be able to do this or to do that. But sometimes when you have conversations with your parents or with older people around you, and they begin to see you beyond what they perceive you to be, it could work. So you approach a conversation, oh, I want to do an internship, mommy or daddy. And you can even go as far as telling them, I know that would be difficult for you to let me do one because you worry anytime I'm out, okay? But I want to learn from you, for example. And now that you're working at home, can I see some of the things you do? Can I see some of the work you do while you're at home? Can I sit in on one of your meetings? I'll be quiet. Sometimes we also, as young people, are not sure how our parents will react, and their reactions may be different from what you think they may be. Okay, I saw again somebody said that they're finished with high school and they've been waiting for the right direction. I'll talk about that shortly too. Okay, but let me move on. So versatility, very important, okay? You also need to learn how to adapt. Sometimes, and again, we can use COVID-19 as a typical example. Things happen and we never thought they would happen. COVID-19 is an example. We're all sitting down one day and then they tell us that this virus has come and it's killing people. And what kind of virus is that? That it even changes itself depending on the body that it enters. Scientists don't know what to do. People are praying and nothing is happening. You know, you don't understand. You don't understand. Other times it may be something a little more direct. You lose a parent, you know, and all of a sudden, because that parent is your breadwinner, you don't know what you're going to do. You start asking yourself, how am I going to take care of myself? If you have younger siblings, how do I take care of my younger siblings? How do I pay my school fees? How do I eat? Where do I move from here? All of a sudden, you have to become an adult overnight, you know? Other times, you may write a test or an exam, and you knew in your heart that you're going to blow this exam, right? And all of a sudden, your results come and you didn't do well. And you start asking yourself, how am I going to move past the next step? How am I going to, you know, come back from this failure that you're experiencing? So there's so many different things. But what I'll say to you is that situations like that, you have to be ready to adapt. Now, if there's something I'm going to tell you, young people, and the earlier you learn it, the better. You need to be ready and you need to understand that situations that you have no control over and that you never expected, they will come to you whether you like it or not. You don't have to be the worst person in the world or the most wicked person in the world for bad things to happen to you. Bad things will happen, whether you like it or not. Things that you never dreamt of, they will come. But the question is, what do you do with such a situation? How do you move past such a situation? That's where the adapting comes to play. Okay. And again, I'll give you a very personal example. I like to give personal examples because I'm very open about things. And I'll give you two. When I first started doing poetry, I'm more of a poet, so not a spoken word artist per se, but a poet. So my poetry is meant to be read more than to be performed, even though I do perform. Now, when I started, you know, my performances, I started performing because I realized that the Ghanaian audience just wanted people to perform. They appreciated poetry more when it was performed for them rather than when they had to read it in a book or on a piece of paper. So I started going into all these spaces where poetry was happening. And by then I had become really good friends with a lot of the brilliant poets that exist in Ghana. But my performance was different. I don't memorize my poetry, not because I can't, but just because reading in performance is a skill on its own. And I was learning from the likes of Maya Angelou in Ghana. Professor Atukwe, may he rest in peace, was one of my mentors, and he reads his poetry in performance. And so I thought this is something that I could do. And my very first performance, people were just coming to me after the performance, asking me why I don't memorize my poetry and giving me reasons why I wasn't a good performer just because I didn't memorize my poetry and I decided to read it on the stage. And I was so disheartened, you know, I was so disheartened. Then I mentioned this to Professor Atukwe, and he said to me, he said, Aula, he's a man, he said, Aula, be hard. You have a skill. Not everybody knows how to read in performance. Not everybody can do it. So adapt and use your skill and it will take you far. And I've never forgotten those words. So what I started doing was I realized that, you know, if you're going to read, you can't just come and hold your phone or a tablet or a piece of paper and be reading. You need to let people know that the reading is deliberate, not because you couldn't memorize your lines or you've forgotten your lines. So I started working with a score stand. You know, when musicians are playing music, they have a stand that they put their musical manuscripts on. So I got a stand like that. And then I'll put my work on it and read from there. Then gradually I would add other things. And I have a golden mic that is always on set when I am performing. I'll come and do all these crazy things. I'll add dance, add music, because I can sing, I can dance, right? I would use those things. I would get my my music friends, or my what do you call it, my musician friends who play the guitar, the piano, to help me score original music from my poetry, you know. And it changed the game for me. And today I have people reaching out to me from all over the world to do performances because of the way I do my performances. So that's one way that I adapted. And I'll give you very shortly another way that I adapted. Now, when I started working at Citi FM, so this was in 2014, when I was going there to do brands and PR. And at the time, my boss felt as though he needed someone who could keep an eye on the brand because it was growing. And that meant that, so you mentioned copywriting. When you talk about copywriting, it means you write scripts for jingles, or what we call live presenter mentions. So when you listen to the radio or you watch TV and you hear or you see a presenter or host, you know, advertising something or hyping a product, that's called an LPM, a live presenter mention, okay? But these things, even though it looks like the host is just saying something from the top of their head, they're actually scripts. And there are key things that the presenter must say in the script. And I script some of those things. That's what we call copywriting. If it's a jingle, you hear a skit in a jingle. Maybe a little boy is saying, oh, mommy, 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 I want to brush my teeth today. And then mommy says, okay, but there's no toothpaste. Okay, let's go and buy the new toothpaste in town. It's called Ahaspora toothpaste. Those things, they're actually scripted, you know, and then they are acted out by voice actors or by actors in the adverts that we see on TV. And I script those things. Now, when I went to Citi, these are some of the things I was supposed to be doing most of the time. Then one day, my boss calls me and says, I want you to be a producer. I said, what are you talking about? I want you to be a producer. I have no idea how to do it. And he says, well, do you want to learn? Are you willing to learn? And I said, yes, of course. He said, okay, that's all I need. I just need someone who is willing to learn. And that's how my journey as a media producer started. He didn't give me any show to produce from the beginning, but the Traffic Avenue, and gave me the host of hosts, Jessica Oparisafo, to produce. And now here's someone who had been doing radio at the time for 15 years. And I was being asked to produce her and tell her what to say and how to act on air. And I had no idea. So I also knew that Jessica herself was a brilliant producer. And so I decided, no, you know what, I'm going to adapt. I'm going to persevere and get this job right. So I asked her first thing, I said, Jess, I need you to teach me how to write a script for a radio show. She said, okay, no problem. And she did. Okay, Jess, Saman is my CEO, my boss. He wants us to restructure the show. How would you go about it? Because Jess is not all the time, it's not only a host, she was also the programs manager, which means she was my boss. And she was a great teacher, a brilliant teacher. But I tell you that if I were not willing to persevere and adapt, because there are days when I would write the script or come up with an idea and she would tell me that it's not something that we can market, it's not something that will work for our audience or for our the kind of radio we're trying to do. And it would be very discouraging because you sat down and spent a whole day writing this thing, and then all of a sudden you're told that it won't work. But I had to persevere, had to adapt, had to move along. Okay, so those are two personal examples. Now, the earlier you build your perseverance or your ability to persevere, the better. And I've told you some key ways that you can do that, young people. But one of the main things that I need you to understand that you need to be able to do if you're going to persevere is to believe that there's no impossibility in this world. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I don't understand the word impossible. I don't even want to hear it. Sometimes possibility may not come in the form that you expect it to. So I'll give a concrete example. Maybe you know that it's possible that you go to the university after high school, right? And your dream school is the University of Ghana. But for some reason, the course you want to do at the University of Ghana was not given to you, but you're getting that course at KNUST or UCC or Winneba or wherever it is. Now, your ability in that moment to say, okay, I may not be going to my first choice school. And I'm sure some of you have already had those experiences, even with high school. You had first choice, second choice, you didn't get into those high schools, but you got into another high school and you're still making your way through. That's the kind of perseverance I need to develop. And when you learn how to do it now and you persevere with joy, knowing that, look, something that looked impossible, you've made possibilities out of it. So you wanted to go to school A, it wasn't possible. You've gone to school B, and you are going to make sure that you are the best student in school B. You be the most active in whatever way you can. You be the one who everybody calls on when they need something. You be the one who even your lecturers know, because you're making sure that you're good at what you're doing, you're adapting to the situation. That's the kind of perseverance, the kind of mindset you need to build. And it's very difficult, very, very, very difficult, but it's not impossible. Now, I'll give you instances when I have said that impossible is not a possibility for me. Every day in my work as a producer, look, there are times when so for those of you who don't know what a media producer does, be it for TV or radio, usually you watch TV or you listen to radio and you hear things, you see things, and you enjoy it. You enjoy the conversations, you enjoy what you're seeing on screen. It is the job of someone like me to make sure that the resource person who is coming to talk about maybe how to actively drink water every day to stay hydrated. The resource person who's coming, be it a nutritionist or a fitness person, it's my job to make sure that that person comes. Now, even to think about the topic, it is my job, and I must script it so that my hosts and my presenters, if it's TV, they are my faces, and then if it's radio, they are my voices. So whatever I want people to learn or to take from a particular show, my presenter must make sure that that happens. But it's all planned. Now, there are days when you plan and then the resource person calls and tells you, I'm not well, I can't come, or something has come up, or I'm stuck in traffic. And if it's a live show, that's like suicide, because it means I need to quickly find something to fit in. Now, in that moment, if you don't tell yourself, look, I'm going to push through this moment, I will find content to fill the next 30 minutes. If you don't tell yourself that, what happens? Your host is either on TV or on radio, and they're saying things that don't make sense. And before you realize, your viewers or your listeners are tuning off. So every day in my job, I'm dealing with things that seem impossible. So your resource person cancels. What do? Do you go and pull footage if it's TV or if it's audio files for radio and play something back and make it seem like that was a plan all along? Or there are times when I've had to go and sit in the chair myself and become the resource person. So in that moment, I have to quickly find information and start speaking, just to fill up the time, or go and beg someone in the building. Oh, you know what? My resource person is not coming. Can you come and talk for me? Now there's a digital age. I can get someone on Zoom. Can you join me just to talk about this? It's very difficult. It's very difficult, But I tell myself that, look, no, I mean, there's nothing like impossible. And I'll give you other examples. There are times when my boss will say, you know what? So last week, for example, we had an event, and he says, no matter what you people do, I want fireworks to go off at midnight. And at this point, it's after 10 p.m. But this man, how are we going to find fireworks on and this is a huge event in an outdoor space at the polo courts. How are we going to find fireworks in less than 2 hours to pull off the kind of fireworks display that he wanted? So straight away, we start asking ourselves, okay, who amongst us can make something like this happen? There's a colleague of ours who used to work in the military. Could he perhaps call his military colleagues or friends, his soldier friends, and see if they can get something for us? And that's exactly what ended up happening. So now at midnight, these fireworks go off. My boss is happy. patrons of the event are excited, but nobody knows the kind of perseverance we had to go through, the kind of sweat we were sweating to make that happen. You see, so you need to develop that mindset from now, because the things that you're enduring now and that you're persevering through now as young people, the truth is that it gets more difficult as you grow older, because at some point you have to feed yourself. You either have to pay rent, you have to think about buying a house, you have to think about when you start having your own children, paying school fees. It may sound scary, but these are the realities. And if you learn how to persevere now, those things become easier to do as you grow older. So you learn how to save now, then it means that you're more likely to be a better or someone who can control your finances better when you grow older. There are people who earn tens of thousands of cedis or dollars or pounds, but they're always broke because they never learned how to manage their money. They never learned that skill of persevering through a situation to save. It means that the food you want to eat today, you may not be able to eat it because you have to save 1 cedi. The dress you want to wear to that party next week, maybe you have to wear the one you wore 2 weeks ago to another party. Maybe just wear a belt with it this time because you have to save some money. And all these things are examples of perseverance. And if you don't learn how to persevere on a smaller scale, it becomes more difficult to persevere on a bigger scale.
Okay.
And then
Apiorkor,
yes.
Yeah, I think we'll need to take questions.
Questions, no problem.
We've actually, I wasn't keeping track of the time. Sorry. But I should say, mentors, thank you so much. You've been answering some of the questions in the chat room. That is really awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know if there are some questions that have not been answered yet. So maybe we'll give the opportunity to mentees who want to ask a question directly to Apiorkor. You could unmute your mic, kindly turn on your video and ask. I think we'll do this no later than 7:10 because of the time. So,
okay.
Yeah. So mentees, any questions? When we were in breakout rooms for men and women, at least the men were asking questions. I don't know if now they are shy of the women. I don't know if they are shy of the ladies now. Ladies and gentlemen, who's asking? Yeah, Samuel, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Samuel.
Hi. I want to know if you regret anything so far.
I don't. And I'll tell you why. I learned and, well, perhaps taught myself very early on that I don't want to have any regrets in life. So the least thing I do, I think it through. So when I'm doing something like agreeing to come and speak to you this evening, it's not something I want to have a regret about. So it means I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that's not a regret. And then we're talking about perseverance. When you learn how to persevere through different situations, and I spoke about adapting to different situations, then you don't see regrets. You only see opportunity. And opportunity allows you to take control of a moment in time and make the best of it. And then, you move on from there. I see somebody asking, did you encounter some challenges? Absolutely, several challenges. When I was in high school, I was a school prefect, and I entered my high school as a pioneer. And I was a school prefect for 4 years. My entire stay in high school, I was a school prefect.
Apiorkor, your profile didn't have your high school.
It didn't say that. No, it didn't. So I went to Tema International School, the same school I taught in. And let me just say that going back there to teach had nothing to do with my being a student there. I was in my final year at the University of Ghana in the English department. And the then principal of Tema International School was looking for someone to start working as a teaching assistant in the English department. And my head of department at the University of Ghana English department, Professor Helen Yita, was also my long essay supervisor, my thesis supervisor. And she recommended me. So it was by sheer coincidence that I ended up going back to teach. But I was the school prefect for 4 years. And when you're a school prefect, nobody likes you, especially not your mates. And here's a case I didn't have seniors, and I was coming from an environment where my seniors were mostly my friends, and it was very difficult. If something came out or people got into trouble, they thought I was the one who went to trip them. They felt I was too in pain. All sorts of things. People hated me for no reason, and it was a very difficult time for me. But I learned perseverance at that point, And then in my adult life, there was a time in my life, and I told you that I'm very open. There was a time in my life when I was 24 or so, and I had gone for a checkup, and I was told that I had a low egg count. Now, young people, if you don't understand what that means, when you're a woman, the number of eggs you are born with, those are the number of eggs you have. And we spoke about menstruation. You're menstruating every month, so you're losing an egg every month, from the time you begin menstruating. And you can't get more eggs. Men with good nutrition and other things may be able to produce more sperm, but women, the eggs we are born with, that's all we have. So I was told I had a low egg count, which meant that the probability of me having a viable pregnancy by the time I was ready may not be a possibility. So do you know what my response was at 24? I started reading on freezing my eggs, IVF, all sorts of medical things I didn't understand, asking questions, just trying to see how, if I got to that point of giving birth, I was ready to have a child, how would I be able to overcome such a situation? Should I be told that I can't conceive on my own or very easily or something of the sort? And imagine having that thing on your head in Ghana, where everybody's expecting you to give birth the day you marry. It was a very difficult time. So I went into marriage at 29, knowing that there's a possibility that I may not be able to have kids. And how did I deal with? I saw somebody asking me, how did I deal with those challenges? In high school, I kept telling myself that I was good enough, positive affirmations. I was good enough. There's a reason why I was the school prefect and somebody else wasn't. There's a reason why I'm good at the things I do and somebody else isn't. And so it would be very ungrateful for me to, just throw everything aside because of what people were saying. And I tell you, it was difficult. So there are times when I'll be in my dorm room and I'll cry. I'll cry, and it's not all the time you can go and call your parents or go to a teacher and complain, because then you also look like a crybaby. There are times when I'll just cry. And then my faith, I would pray, sing. I got to a point in high school, a group of friends and I, some were much younger, but very talented. There was a boy who I think was in Form 1 when I was in upper 6. He could play the keyboard like nobody's business. Now he's actually a music director. He ended up going to UCLA Berkeley School of Music and coming out with the equivalent of a first degree. And I used to go and tell him he should teach me how to play the keyboard. And somebody was much younger than me. And we eventually made a gospel band, and that gospel band still exists in my high school today. And I carried that faith, along in life, and but the spirit of positive affirmation, it does something for you, and that's how I usually get past my challenges. Like I told you, I tell myself that nothing is impossible, no situation is permanent, every problem has an expiry date, and so I will get through it. And again, I want to reiterate that it is not easy, it is difficult, but it is possible.
Thanks. I think you addressed the motivation one. Erica Boache, you have a question? Please go ahead and ask.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, my dear.
So, yes, you are talking about perseverance. And then I want to ask, this country, especially Ghana, there are some type of things that people don't expect you to do. They want you to go this way because that's the tradition, that's the culture that has been done all through. So if you do this, you are just labeled as something else. You're a bad child, you're a bad kid. And then sometimes as the youth, we feel as if we need to be listened to. Like we just need someone to talk to, tell the person that, okay, this is what I am going through. But then the elders, most especially, they don't understand us, not at all. If you go and tell your mommy that, ma, I like this child, the way your mother will react to the issue, it will be as if you've committed a felony, like you are going to kill someone's child. And then so you'll be bottling up your emotions. And then from what you said, I need to like act on what I want. But then how am I supposed to do that in an environment whereby like there's so much, should I say negativity? Yeah, there's so much negativity about what I want to do. Because me, for instance, before I went to a senior high school, I wanted to do be an actress. My mommy said, those who are actresses, they are bad, they do all this pornographic stuff. So I had to drop that ambition of mine to pursue something else. So how should we go about it?
So I think this will be the last question because of time.
Okay. So the first thing I'll say is that, and you put it so beautifully, that we live in an environment, in a country, and it happens all over the world too, don't get me wrong, but our society is very judgmental. And our society is a society that's afraid of things that are different. It's afraid of change, and it's more so afraid of people who they think are different. Now, when you're dealing with your parents, it's tricky because they're the ones who are taking care of you. They're the ones who are clothing you. How do you now rise up against your parents? It's a difficult thing to do. What I've told young people around me all the time, and it's worked for so many of them, is that first of all, you just try to do what your parents want you to do. Because sometimes you can't win the fight with your parents. That's the truth. But as you grow older and you gain independence, so one of the things that I used to do was I used to have a journal. And I told you I started writing poetry when I was 14. But apart from writing poetry in that journal, I would jot down things that I wanted to do when I became an adult. And I'll tell myself that I would take a path that would lead me to a place where I could do those things and be very, very good at them. So when I first said I wanted to do poetry, a lot of people, same family members, my parents, I was lucky. They never really questioned the things that I wanted to do, and they encouraged me all the time. But there are people around me, and some of these people are family members, like I'm telling you, what are you going to do with poetry? How does a writer make money? Even when I entered media, they told me, there's an auntie who looked me in the eye and said to me, you know what? I thought you were a lost case when you said you want to be a teacher. But now that you want to be in media there, I don't know what to say to you again. How can you say that to me? And the bottom line is that if you know who you are, you know your talents, nobody can identify your talents for you. There are people who may see sparks of it and try to guide you, but you also need to identify your talents yourself, your strengths, and be honest. Don't tell yourself that you're good at walking when you're not, or you're good at running when you're not. You understand where I'm coming from? But if you know what you're good at, you work towards becoming what you want to be and the best at it. So if it's an actress you want to be, maybe for now, I don't know what you're looking to pursue. You go ahead, find, a job or a career path that may make your mom happy.
Or even join the drama club in your school.
There you go.
Form it if there's no drama club.
If there's no drama club. And then when you get to the point where you can, so for me, I've always saved up to do the things I want to do that I know may not bring me money. Poetry wasn't always, now I make money from poetry. I mean, I have a book and it gives me money, but there's a time when that probably wouldn't have been possible. But I had to save for it, and let people see that was a possibility. But if you don't push yourself, and again, this is the perseverance coming in. Like I was saying, so you want to join the drama club, form the drama club, and you'll be surprised. A lot of you are on social media, and there's a lot happening on social media, which is very bad. There's also a lot happening on social media, which is very good. There are all sorts of groups of people who are doing all sorts of interesting drama things, and they are not even just from Ghana. And before you realize, you end up in Hollywood because you sent a message to somebody who was looking for an actress from Ghana who has never acted before. There are so many opportunities, and this is why I say that you persevere, but then you also have to tell yourself that, look, you know what, this is what I want to do and I'm working towards it. And working towards what you want to be or what you want to do is never an easy thing. And there will always be people, maybe your parents today, but tomorrow will be somebody else. Sometimes it's even your spouse at certain points in time. There are people, and particularly women go through this a lot, whose spouses have told them to stop working because they don't like the job that they do. And you need to be ready and willing to work beyond some of these things. And sometimes that means you're also cutting people off, people who are not helping you advance towards your craft. And you can't do that with your parents, no. But I'm telling you, as it stands now, jot down the things. So if it's acting you want to do, jot it down and start looking for ways to become a good actress, so that by the time you have the freedom to do what you want to do, you can be the best actress that ever lived. And now your mom can look back and say, if I had known, I would have allowed you to go to acting school or to film school a long time ago. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah. Sometimes perseverance isn't about fighting people or obstacles, but it's about working with them and using them as stepping stones to make us stronger as we rise to what we want to attain. And this is a typical example of that.
Okay, thank you so much, Apiorkor. Yeah, I think we will need to end here so we can continue with the next sessions. Yeah, so Oyuwaladon.
So can we unmute and give her a round of applause? This was absolutely amazing. Everybody should unmute and clap.
Great.
Thank you. So, Pravi, are we ready to go into our break? Thank you, Atu, so much for moderating our session today. We are going to, I know yesterday, guys, we discussed about creating our vision board, and we'll have the opportunity to go into breakout rooms with our mentors to discuss into details what we put down on our vision boards. It's going to be very brief, so let's go in with our questions. I know Abba went delved into details and did a very good job explaining how our vision board should look like. So in the breakout room, you discuss what you put on your vision board with your mentor in the room. And if you have any questions, you feel free to ask them. We are going to do this for 15 minutes because we've already spent so much time here. Then we'll all come back and wrap up quickly before we leave. So Pravi, if you are ready to go into the breakout rooms, just let us know and we'll move out. Thank you.
Felicia, so I left you here with one group so that
okay.
this book will not be empty.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you. Okay, guys. So how many people do we have here with me? Oh, quite a number, 39. We have a few mentors, also mentors. We have Gameli. Oh, Gameli is one of our star mentors. He's been on the program for forever. So the mentees here, we have Shelly with us too. I can see Shelly. So the mentors, we are here. We don't have our vision board. So you do have your vision board. So I don't know who wants to start. Yasmin, were you on the call yesterday? What did you put down? Do you have any questions for us? And because of time, some of us can put our questions in the chat menu so that we can help you answer it whilst we discuss the rest on here. Who is ready to share? Hi, Yasmin.
Hi, I'm Felicia. So I have my vision board ready, but it's not as bright as yesterday's. And I just have 3 things on my vision board. Let me see if I can share. Let me see if I can share my. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what I have.
Yeah, said you were sharing your screen, so we are waiting to see what you have for us. Okay. Yasmin, it didn't come.
I'm trying to
Open the screen you want to share, then you go to share your screen. Okay. Come in.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
So this is what I have. So I have ALU and ALA. I don't mind going to either. And then I use a quote by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that has ever. And then my second vision is help street kids. So I use a quote from Munia Khan that says, "Street children are lovely blossoms just dropped from the tree after a heavy storm. Now they need to put together with a needle and threads of security and shelter to live in a beautiful circle of life's garland." So street kids are like something I really want to do. So that's like one of my visions. And then I want to lecture. So I used this pictures, but it's not as bright as yesterday's sample. So yeah, that's what I got for my vision board so far.
Whoa. That's a good start. You shouldn't worry about how it looks. We all have different way of expressing ourselves. So the look doesn't really matter. What's important is the content of it. May I know why you did not put timelines to it? Would you like to put timelines to these visions?
Yeah, I would. With my college, I'm hopeful that my next year, I've already started working on my applications. And with Street Kids, we have a project on Thursday. Yeah, we are going to have donations on Thursday.
Okay.
And with being a lecturer, I'm just hoping for the best.
Oh, you need one thing too. You need to do is you need to believe in the things you put down. That's the only way you can work towards it. If you are like, I'm not sure, Safa, you need to go on mute. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Yasmin, you need to check, you need to believe in what you've put down. That's the only way you'll be motivated to work towards it. So you don't need to be like, oh, I'm not sure if that's going to happen for me. I don't believe I can do this, but just put it down, believe in it, and that's the only way you can, work hard towards achieving those goals. So thank you very much, Yasmin, for sharing. Who else? Safa, do you want to share your video?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Isaac. Are you ready to share?
So sorry, I'm supposed to be in the boys section. Don't know how I got here.
No, so this session is not for boys and girls. We're actually doing a group session. We are discussing your vision board, so feel free to join us. Is that okay, Isaac?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Okay,
please. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Safa, you can go on. Let's see what you have.
Okay. I think I'm coming. Please, I need to check something there.
Okay, you can try setting up and let's see who else is ready. Thelma, do you have something to share?
Yes, please, but I have mine on the paper. Not
Yeah, you can pull it. Yeah, you can put it up if you can turn your video on. Okay.
Yes, please, there's something like this.
Okay. Yes. Oh, this is good. But it doesn't look complete.
It is, the boxes are big.
Okay.
And the writings are
small. Okay.
Yes. So, yeah. So I have 4 visions.
Okay.
And then the first one is to build a good relationship with God and to work for Him. And then the second one is to be a say no rape advocate. And the third one is to help eradicate deforestation. And then the fourth one is to travel abroad to study medicine so I can become a good doctor to save many lives. So the quotes. The first one I checked on the internet and I learned that the greatest comfort in life is having a close relationship with God. And with that one, I mean, I must stand now. I don't have any limit or thing. I just have to stand now. And then with the say no to rape to Gavin says, most men fear getting laughed at or humiliated by a romantic prospect, whilst most women fear rape and death. Yes, and with this, I plan on working on it and making sure I achieve what I want before I finish university. The same applies to deforestation too. Since when the last tree dies, and we all know when the last tree dies, the last man dies. And then with completing school in abroad and studying medicine, the quote is, the presence of a good doctor is the beginning of a cure. Yes, so with that one, when I finish medical school, I want to say, yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. So did you put the timelines to the things you spoke about?
Yes, as I said, for the first vision, that's to build a good relationship with God. I mean, there's no timeline for this. I mean, I must start now.
Okay.
Yes. And then to say no to rape and then to help eradicate deforestation. My time limit is before university, I should be able to achieve what I want with this. And then to finish medical school and become a good doctor, the same thing. After I finish the university, I get a good job and start saving lives as soon as possible. Okay. Yes, Auntie.
Thank you, Thelma, for sharing. Who else? Let's get a guy. Samuel. Samuel, can we see what you put on your vision board? In the interim, if any of you has questions to ask, please just put it in the chat section. I told you we have lots of mentors here. They will help us answer those questions for you. So Samuel, let's see, what do you have?
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Are we all assigned to individual mentors?
Okay, so Samuel, with regards to that, if you read the application very well, it's an application and it was reviewed and we shortlisted a few students to get mentors. So if you did not hear from us this afternoon, that means you are not going to get a personal mentor. However, we are going to open up our programs to you. Hopefully mid this year, we'll have an event that we are going to invite you to. We also advise that you follow our social media pages for most of all the interesting activities we have. So you can feel free to reach out to us anytime that you need support, and also take advantage of all the programs we put on our social media pages. And what we'll do is we have your database. So when there are opportunities available, we'll send an email. So once in a while, you'll be getting emails from us with opportunities available for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Samuel. Thank you too. Yeah. Who else is sharing their vision board? If you're ready, you can just raise your hand. Isaac, are you ready to share now?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's see what you have
Hello.
for us. Hi, we are here. We are listening.
Hello, ladies.
Hey,
I
gentlemen.
was able to make 2 videos.
Okay.
Okay, it's young academics, like career and stuff.
Your network is
Okay, so
breaking.
my vision is to become a teacher. Oh, so sorry.
We can't hear you.
Is it okay?
Can you reposition yourself?
Is it okay?
Can you reposition yourself?
Come on.
You can check. One thing you can do is you can check the bars on your Zoom call to see the connection strength. Usually Zoom alerts you on the kind of connection you have, the strength of your connection. So please check that and get back to us. Who else is going to share? I'm trying to find people. Celine. Okay, we have Lloyd. I think a lot of ladies have spoken. Lloyd, can we see what you have on your vision board?
I didn't actually do it on, I just did it on a sheet of paper. So if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You can either show it to us or you can read what you have there.
Okay. Okay, so for the first one, my first vision is to, my first vision was to, for this year, is to get all A's in my WASI. Yes, that's the first one. So that one, I'm starting now. The timeline starts now since we're going to form another. And the second one is to start my own business. And that one is after school, after university.
Okay.
And then the last one is to start a foundation to help needy and brilliant young people when it comes to in educational, financial aid for education, if you're under.
Okay.
Yes. So those are the 3 I have here for now. And that one is also after school. Yes, please.
All right. And one thing we can start putting on our vision board is we can identify the kind of support we need to achieve those visions. So you can put it on the side. You can just make bullet points to say, I'll need this to achieve this goal. I'll need this. And that way, you know exactly what you have to do or the kind of resources you have to look out for to be able to achieve those goals. So that's a plus to what all the amazing things you've put down already.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Lloyd, for sharing. Back to it. Does anyone have any question? We are just going through this session to make sure that we did what we were asked to do yesterday and also to understand the stuff you put out there. Those who got the opportunity to have one-on-one mentors, you get to share your vision boards with your mentor and you'll be able to discuss the things you have on there with them privately. Those who don't have vision boards, feel free, email info@ahaspora anytime to ask questions, to send us suggestions. If you're having any challenges, reach out and we'll look into our bank of amazing people or all the people in our network to give you the support you need. So that's just by the way. I'm just looking for, I need someone to volunteer to speak, to share. Zelda, can we see what you have? Clotilda, prepare. I'm going to call you next. I want to see what you have there.
Okay. I'm going to try and share my screen, but if it doesn't work, I'll just read it out.
Okay.
Love is free.
Are Are you able to? Okay, Zelda, we can see. Oh, great. Oh, this is lovely.
Okay. So my first vision was to go to a school that encompasses the core of my dream. And my dream, which is my second vision, is to embark on a quest to provide optimum health globally. And about that, I want to start with Africa. And that's a little biased, but then it is because of the movies I've watched and the stories I've heard. Like on the TV, for example, there are always people who have financial problems getting surgeries, maybe heart transplants, kidney transplants. Yes. The third one is to work as a pediatrician in Australia. I've realized that in my world, this is how I see it, that the future of the world depends on children. So I want to be a pediatrician to make sure that the future is in able hands. Because if children are always sick, for example, then the future is endangered. Second reason I want to be a pediatrician is because I'm premature, and I've known a lot of people who are premature and have a lot of underlying health conditions, but well, by God's grace, I don't. And I feel like I owe it to them to help them get better. My sister, for example, had asthma, had scoliosis, and had a brain damage, all because she was premature. But then I have nothing wrong with me. So I feel like I owe it to them to help them. And the last two are kind of very imminent to me, like imminent in my life right now, to learn how to dance and to play the guitar. The guitar, well, I'm on it right now. I had a class today. And then to dance, well, I'm a horrible dancer. Those who know me know that I'm a very horrible dancer. And I really want to know how to dance and dance at church and dance at events. So yes, so this is my vision board.
Thank you, Zelda. This is very inspiring. Isaac says he wants to chat with you privately. So you can send Isaac a private message with your contact if you're okay with it, because he loves your presentation and probably he wants you to teach him how to do that. So thank you so much, Zelda, for sharing. We have a few more minutes to go. We want to have one more presentation before we... Boaje, Kunedu, I see your hands up.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Kunedu.
Mine is picture college. It's not that complete. The quotes are not on it, but I have them here. So
Okay,
when
sure.
I point it out, I'll speak.
Okay, sure. So are you going to turn your video on?
Please, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My main wish is to become an aeronautical engineer or an aerospace engineer. And from that, I put a quote which says, aim higher in case you fall short. Also, I want to be able to mentor others just as I've been mentored by these people, you guys. And it has its own quote on its own, which says, mentoring is a two-way street. The mentor gets wiser whilst mentoring, and the mentee gains knowledge through his or her mentor. Also, I want to be able to learn more than one language, at least 6. And a quote related to it says, a different language is a different vision of life. Lastly, I want to be able to create something that will be able to benefit humanity, which is be able to innovate. And it says here that the value of an idea is in the using of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm actually clapping for you right now. And Kunedo, I know someone who did aerospace engineering. So many thanks to our mentors and mentees for engaging so much in today's activity. I'm going to hand over. It's not an in-person, so I can't see the mic. I'm going to ask Christabel to help us to wrap up before we leave. But before we leave, our mentors will humbly ask for you to stay a bit on the call so that we can go over a few things before we end it. So Christabel, in the meantime, I'll hand over to you so that you can speak to all of us. Thanks very much.
Are we back in the main room?
Yes, we are, Christabel.
Okay, somebody should give me 2 minutes because I'm just leaving my car to go into light. So probably if you can chat with them, I just need a minute.
Can someone tell us about what they really enjoyed most on today's call? What did you enjoy most on the call today or in the past 2 days, yesterday and today? Erica. Erica.
Okay. So I actually enjoyed the ladies' room, yes, because yes.
Okay.
Yes,
can you see me?
Because
Christabel, Erica is sharing what she enjoyed most on the call with us, so you can jump in immediately she's done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Erica.
So I actually got answers to something that has been troubling my mind a whole lot because of Miss Anita. Miss Anita, thank you very much because she actually helped me out. Yes. I've been having such problems for a very long time, and then I was able to actually understand, and now I know how to set my goals and ambition and my priorities. So yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's not tell the boys what Auntie Anita told you. So it's just for the ladies.
No, we need to let the boys also have their side. Huh?
Okay, thank you, Erica, for sharing. Christabel, now back to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been an amazing 2 days. First of all, just by the fact that we've had such a great participation from everybody, I want us all to go off mute and give ourselves a round of applause. This has been really, really, really good.
Hey.
Thank you so much. If you weren't on, this would not happen. So our first thanks goes to you. Okay, we're still clapping. Okay. Our first thanks, okay, we can mute now so I can finish. Our first thanks goes to you for heeding to our call and coming through in your numbers and staying put for the 2 days. I think our theme for this year was perfect because it was a theme for us at Ahaspora as well. The fact that we've never done a Zoom call before, our mentoring committee will tell you that when we first mentioned it, we weren't too sure if it would be a good idea. But then we went ahead and did it anyways. It turned out, in fact, just flawless, in a way that we didn't expect. So I think that just sums up everything that we've been discussing in the last 2 days, which is that when adversity strikes, just keep going, keep trying. When you fall, stand up again. If you stay on the ground, then you will stay on the ground. But if you fall and you stand up again and you keep trying, you keep persevering, there is nothing in this world you can't do. So if there's one thing you take away from everything you heard from yesterday called discussing perseverance, giving us people examples of examples where they've persevered and how through their perseverance, they've gone even to the highest office of the land, failing 3 times and then becoming president. I mean, how much more perseverance is that? Today, Apiorkor has given us personal examples of perseverance that really drove home to us, like very personal things that we are all facing. So I encourage all of you to pick this as we enter 2021. It's going to be a good year. They say, once you hit the bottom, there's no more than to come up. And so after where we've hit bottom in 2020, I am convinced that 2021 can be nothing but good. And it will be good if we all stay positive, we keep positive vibes, and we keep persevering. Will the challenges come? Absolutely, they will keep coming. But when they come, just remember, you will bend, but you won't break. You need to just keep going and keep trying. And we're here for you. We really are here for you. And we say it and we mean it. Even the busiest of us, when we hear from mentees, we get excited, we stop everything, and we make it happen. So please don't hesitate. This mentoring program is as good as what you make. Be in touch with your mentors. For those of you who have one-on-one mentors, for those of you who don't, we have a large community that is looking forward to helping you. And what we'll do as a special reward for your being on the call yesterday and today and being with us is during the year, we will organize an in-person event for all of you. We'll make it happen so that you can also have that experience. Use that as a check-in also for what we've done. Please, those of you, who didn't hear this announcement, if you did your vision board, if you haven't done it, please do it. But send us your vision boards. Take a picture of your vision board, put your name on it, and send it to us. We want to put a collage to show off what our mentees are doing, and we'll also use it to remind you of the different things that you do. I heard one young lady saying she wants to be, I think it was an aeronautical engineer. 5 years, 10 years from now, I want to say I heard that first on Ahaspora, and I'll use your vision board to remind you that you said you do it and you've done it, so that we can have the proud moments and celebrate each other. We're all about celebrating each other. So I know time is fast spent. I know it's late, but I cannot thank you enough. Thank you also to our mentors who joined us on both days. We really, really, really appreciate it. And please, is Ato on? I don't know if Ato is still on. Thank you so much for emceeing our event for us today. And yesterday to Anita, always doing a phenomenal job. We really, really appreciate it. And please, mentees, unmute your microphones and give the biggest round of applause to the mentoring committee, Provi. 3 months. Non-stop, day and night. So thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you. So we'll wrap up now. We know it's late. We don't want to hold you, and we'll be in touch with you during the year. Again, this program is what you make it. Hold on tight to your mentor. If you don't have a mentor and you're dying for one, send me an email, christabel@ahaspora.com. We'll figure it out. All right. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, a lovely rest of the week. Happy New Year, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.